everyone, welcome back. This is Intuitive Edge, where we take an intuitive look at what's going on in our world. As an intuitive, I often get the question, especially as a channeler, how do you know that you are tapping into a benevolent, high-level being, or how do you know you're not being deceived or tricked or pulling into the darker forces? The reason I'm bringing this up at this moment is I saw a TikTok video today that was very concerning and reminded me of the importance of talking about this topic, because there are a lot of voices out there, there are a lot of influences out there, and as humans, we sometimes can get swept away, and sometimes we don't realize that we might be being played or toyed with or deceived. First of all, let's talk about what I saw. So I was scrolling through TikTok, and there was a beautiful young lady, and she says on there that this was going to be her last appearance on social media. And she started to proceed to talk about Enki, Enlil, some of her channeled beings that she was familiar with, were telling her that she needed to withdraw from social media, and that she needed to, basically that she was on a mission, that they were going to take her and move her into this new space, and she needed to withdraw. And then she started referring to one of these beings as her father, but also her husband. And I started reading through the comments, and people were like, this doesn't feel right to me. People were saying, does somebody need to do an intervention? Is she going to be okay? You know, don't leave. We're worried about you. And she was really going on with this message about them needing her to I don't know, enact their whatever they were going to be doing in the earth, but she had to pull away from everything, and she had to just go, spend time in with these beings, and it didn't have a good vibe to it. I started getting red flags when she was saying that they were telling her to isolate, because this is a tactic of a cult leader. Now, this being was not human. This was somebody she was channeling. When you have an entity or a human, say, a cult leader of any kind, the number one thing that they try to do is isolate you, because they want to control you. And it may not feel like control at first. They do things to make you feel special, but in the end, the goal is to isolate you so that you are off balance, off center, and you're not listening to your own intuition. Any type of cult leader or entity, human or otherwise, that attempts to disconnect you from your own intuition and your own inner knowing, that is a huge red flag. So red flag number one is isolation. Now, there are benevolent beings that are invested in helping humanity evolve. Any entity that comes in to guide you will never violate your free will. They will never say to you that you need to stop being on social media, or you need to do this or do that. And they will never tell you what to do. You always have free will. You are sovereign, and any being, I don't care who it is, human or otherwise, does not have the right to rob you of your free will and tell you what to do. Guides can come alongside and guide, but they will respect your choice. Now, you may have a guide, a benevolent guide, that comes in and says, you really should do this. You may feel that, I really need to do this. Again, it's your choice, though. And you are not judged if you choose not to do that thing, because all of human experience is really an exploration of being human. We get to make choices. We get to make mistakes. We get to see what our mistakes cause us, what pain that might cause. And we get to learn from those mistakes, so to speak. So Any good guide will not rob you of your sovereign ability and will to learn however you choose to learn in this human form. To learn from your mistakes, to make mistakes. Okay? That is how we learn. That is how we evolve and become better people. So red flag number 2 is, do they violate your free will choice? Any benevolent guide or entity will always lead you back to your highest truth and your highest self. If an entity coming in is suddenly making everything about them and their special purpose and their mission, and they need you to come along and help that mission, be a little concerned and a little cautious. Because again, this is about your soul's growth and evolution. So just be careful if you hear that kind of messaging. In dealing with a situation in my own life several years back, I came to understand that my own discernment and best judgment will always lead me true. That is where I need to listen. And this is, I think, the lesson for a lot of people is we listen so much to other people. We value other people's opinion. What do they think I should do? And we don't trust ourselves, and we don't trust our own innate wisdom. And a lot of times we discount what we get. If we have an intuitive knowing about something or someone, we brush it off. We don't trust ourselves. And there are so many good things that we discern, but we don't trust our own discernment. So trusting yourself, trusting your own discernment, and if something doesn't feel right to you, that's because it's not right. So honor that. This is something that by far will keep people out of hot water more than anything else, is when they begin to really listen to their gut. If you're in a crowd or a group of people and you're feeling like something's not right here, but maybe you're feeling awkward because you're there with friends, just trust your gut. If you feel you need to leave, trust that. This is about you and your journey, and no one else can walk that for you. And this is about really paying attention to how you feel. So red flag number 3 is when you're being told to not trust your better judgment, to rely on someone else, even if that someone else is God. God will still work through you and give you that knowing. A lot of people get hoodwinked by this because they turn off their better judgment and go on what they think God is saying, rather than stepping into their heart and perceiving with their heart what they know God is saying. There's a difference. And this is a tricky one. So it's about trusting your better judgment and listening with your heart. And this brings us to red flag number 4. Make it all about them and minimize you. So if you have a intuitive message that's coming in, you're channeling a group or an entity, and they're talking all about themselves and all about what they're doing, and there's not anything about helping you and what you're doing. If it's leaving you out but just talking about them, that's another red flag. Because our spirit team and spirit guides are here to do just that. They are here to guide, to help, to offer assistance. They won't step on your toes. They won't step in where they shouldn't. And if they do, they'll back off. I've had that happen to me where I basically was like, I am doing this, and my guides backed off and let me do it. And it wasn't the best choice, but it was my choice at the time. So they will respect your choice. If you have an entity or a being that doesn't respect your choice and makes it all about them and minimizes you, that's a big red flag. There's another red flag I want to talk about, and this one is a little bit more subtle and a little harder to spot. Oftentimes I've seen When someone ignores the first few red flags and you are being asked to turn off your better judgment in favor of what they're telling you, they may have done all of this to minimize you and get you to trust and give up your better judgment and then trust outside of yourself. And when that happens, the messages oftentimes, not always, but oftentimes take a dark turn. I've seen this with many intuitives who are gifted in the prophetic, and they're pulling in messages and they've already been conditioned to turn off their better judgment and only just say it because God said. And the messages sometimes turn dark, where the messages are talking about wrath or vengeance or people or whatever. This is the dangerous part, because the hook is already set. And now this entity is trying to get you to say things that are not of the light and not good. You can almost see this thing happening. Like some of the prophets that start out giving these really incredible messages, and then they get conditioned to just give it over to God and not embody the message, but just be a mouth. And to me, that kind of cheapens what it means to be a voice for the spirit realm when we're just a mouthpiece and we're not invested or involved in what is being said. It's like I'm just being used. Humanity's at a point where we are growing up. We're not babies anymore. We're past the baby stage. We're coming into owning our gifts, learning about the latent giftings that we have within us, such as telepathy, telekinesis, all of those. Those are going to start coming online. I had a video about that a while back. But those are some of the things that are part of our human experience that have been laying dormant for many years. And we are more than just a vessel to be used by another entity. Now, again, I know that there are some entities that do the trance medium where they step out of the way. That's not exactly what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about entities that are not of pure high light, that simply want to control and manipulate. So that's what I'm talking about. I know there are trance channelers. That's separate from what I'm discussing here. But the main thing is to really listen to your heart, to your intuition, and then look for those red flags. If someone is wanting you to do something, but it's not setting well with you, these are all red flags. And I went through a situation many years ago where I didn't listen to my higher self, my intuition. I ignored it because I thought I'm on this mission. I have to go do this thing. But all the while, my red flags were going off, but I was ignoring them. And it wasn't until later that I went, oh, I had all these red flags, and why did I do that? So, but again, it was all part of my experience. Anyway, I hope this was helpful. Again, the red flags are isolation, violating free will choice, not trusting your better judgment, and minimizing yourself, and not giving yourself the honor that you deserve for your being here in this time and space. The choice that you made to be here. You're here for a reason, you're here for a purpose, and you're important. And anything that doesn't make you feel important or makes you feel like they're important, I'm nothing, that's a red flag. So anyway, I hope this was helpful. Thanks for listening in. And as always, thanks everyone. We'll talk to you next time. Bye for now.